Since the dawn of Minecraft, players have had the ability to place blocks and destroy blocks. Griefing, as it's known, has always been a part of Minecraft, loved by some, hated by others. Over time, griefing has evolved from slow manual block by block griefing to fast, large scale, and even entirely automated griefing. And while the community has argued back and forth on whether griefing should be allowed or not, nobody's really stopped to consider if griefing was actually meant to be a part of Minecraft. For 15 years now, there has not existed any way for players to protect their bases, land, chests, or valuable loot through vanilla Minecraft. This is one such argument players in favor of griefing will use. If Notch, Jeb, or just Mojang in general didn't want players to grief, then why wouldn't they add any blocks or items which allow players to prevent griefing? Minecraft servers where you can't grief all rely on custom plugins for either land protection or chest protection. Why didn't Mojang add similar? Could it be that they didn't want to guide the way players played the game? Maybe they couldn't find a method of preventing griefing they liked? Or maybe they just haven't gotten around to it yet? Well, what most people don't know is that way back in 2009, when the game was still in its very early days, Notch used to have a public to-do list where he had features he was working on or planning to add to the game. For a brief period of time, at level 3 of importance, Notch actually was planning to add land claim flags. Effectively, these would be a physical flag you could craft or obtain in survival mode, maybe with gold, that would claim an area of land where no monsters can spawn or die, and only specific selected players would be able to build. Basically, this would be the equivalent of land claim plugins today, where you protect an area and can control, but such a feature never came to be, and as Minecraft Survival and Survival Multiplayer eventually released, the only protection players had was to ensure that the whitelist was enabled so griefers could not join their server. Griefing just wasn't really an issue yet. Notch had no reason to add land claim flags. He did not know what was to come. Throughout 2010, 2011, and 2012, as Minecraft became more and more popular, so did Minecraft servers. And since these servers were new and the multiplayer scene had not been comfortably established yet, they were often very vulnerable to griefing. It was during this time that Minecraft griefing was first popularized, with many individuals such as Team Abolition and ICanHasGrief uploading various videos of them griefing and destroying a variety of Minecraft servers, many of which would get over 1 million views, which for the time was extremely impressive. Thus, many individuals were inspired by these famous griefers, hopping on survival servers and attempting to cause as much damage as possible. As I mentioned, server owners weren't as experienced, there wasn't as many options to download plugins to protect servers, people just didn't really know what they were doing, and in addition with the growing popularity of cheats and hacks, many servers were extremely easy to grief. Griefing became a persistent problem for this brief early time, and with Notch and Mojang seemingly oblivious or unwilling to do anything, the community tried taking matters into their own hands. In early 2011, a plugin for Minecraft known as MCAdmin was released. Effectively, this was the first Minecraft global banning system, and functioned like so. If a player was banned from 3 servers using MCAdmin, then they would be banned from all servers using it, sort of like a 3 strikes and you're out rule. An online list also existed where globally banned players were named and shamed, primarily griefers at the time. Now, in practice, the idea sounded solid, but unfortunately, notorious griefing group Team Abolition exploited it by setting up 3 fake servers and banning players of their choice from them, effectively banning them globally. Then there was also some drama because of the creator of the plugin put a backdoor in it, leading to many players deciding not to use it, and MCAdmin faded into obscurity. Although it still does exist today and is used by a small handful of servers, just 17 now to be precise. While MCAdmin failed, the problem of griefing was eventually mostly resolved in 2011. Plugins got better and server owners became smarter. Finding a sizable public server to grief on was now more difficult than it once was. Many servers around this time began gradually transitioning to land claim and chest protection type setups, which players seemed to like. In retaliation, around the same time in 2012 though, lasting until about 2014 or 2015, game modes such as factions gained immense popularity, servers where the sole goal was to raid and destroy others' bases. While most survival servers did transition to mostly peaceful setups, there still did exist sizable survival servers which had griefing enabled. It was an era regarded by most as the golden era of Minecraft. The golden era of Minecraft, just like the one on my own server, og-network.net. If you are looking for a chill, relaxing, non-griefing Minecraft survival server, make sure to check out our new survival game mode where you can build with others, take on powerful dungeons, and get special high-level enchantments called runes. Be sure to subscribe or I'll grief your bed in real life as well. No pressure, of course. Anyways, not long after this era, sentiment only further shifted back to non-griefing, and while they didn't cease to exist, faction servers and servers where griefing was allowed did tend to decline in popularity. Those who wanted to grief were forced to their own corners of the Minecraft server landscape. There was no longer much crossover between non-griefing players and griefing players. They had become notably distinct and stuck to their own servers. It was also around this time that the big problem with griefing became evident. A lot of earlier griefing, while annoying, was more minor in scale. A couple of blocks destroyed in a house or base, some chests broken, that was generally all. However, over time, and especially in the game's later years, lava casting using hacks to assist with griefing and practically annihilating a base became the go-to. Gradually, the time it took to grief a base shortened and shortened, and the time it took to build a base increased. Back in 2010 and 2011, you could grief a small wooden house, a very common base at the time, block by block in about 20 to 30 minutes. Such a house could easily be rebuilt in a similar time frame. Nowadays, bases take much longer to build as they are bigger, more intricate, and technologically advanced with redstone contraptions and farms. With the abundance of resources in modern Minecraft and the ease at which it is to obtain items such as TNT, you could easily TNT a sizable base in 10 to 15 minutes that would maybe take 10 to 15 hours to rebuild, if not more. The disparity between the time it took to grief a base and the time it took to build one grew to the point where griefing became unbalanced. Furthermore, griefing culture shifted over the years, going from more light-hearted trolling and slower-paced manual griefing to complete and utter annihilation with the greater abundance of resources and knowledge players now have. As I mentioned, once upon a time, players who liked griefing and players who didn't like it would play the same servers, but over time as griefing became more unbalanced, the players who liked griefing were forced to servers where griefing was allowed, and the players who didn't like griefing took to servers where it wasn't allowed. This meant that griefing culture developed rapidly, as servers became full of people who only wanted to grief. Much of the newer griefing culture is heavily inspired by servers like 2b2t, who prefer to remove bases off the face of the universe, or grief them with boring methods like lava casting, rather than grief for the light-hearted trolling it used to be. And unfortunately, that culture only makes people hate griefing more and more. My Minecraft server, since its inception, has had a traditional style survival game mode, basically a normal survival multiplayer server, with some basic economy plugins where you can't protect your chests and base, and the only safe area is spawn. Griefing is allowed, but it's not anarchy. Initially, we tried to recreate that old 2011 survival server type feel. Now, let me show you what the world looks like as soon as you leave the spawn. Seems familiar? People instantly treat any server where there is no land protection as an anarchy server now. This kind of griefing sucks, it's ugly, and there is no personality to it. You never used to see this on normal survival servers where you could grief back in the day. The surrounding spawn terrain would normally be damaged, but not lava casted beyond repair. Furthermore, my server also recently released a second survival server where you can claim land, protect your base, and create big bases and shops other players can visit. It's the opposite of the main SMP for players who want a more relaxed PvE experience. Many players who decide to try it out from the main SMP still tried to grief. Some players intentionally spent days or even weeks gaining the trust of others so they could be added to their land claims, and then as soon as they were, they instantly griefed the bases. Other players figured out that they could kill players with withers and grief them when they had PvP disabled by going to their bases, which they could locate using the server's cool map viewer, spawning dozens of withers right outside a player's protected land claim over and over, making the withers aggro at them and follow them, and then running straight into another player's claim and teleporting or flying away, leaving the annoying player who was just trying to calmly build their shop or base to deal with at least 50 withers. Fortunately, not many players died, as withers aren't actually that strong because the server has special plugins allowing you to get super high level enchanted gear with XP, and some players also picked the classes which made you tanky like Droid and Shogun, but it was still very annoying. Oh, and let's not forget the players who used the custom trees from our custom world gen to create huge jungle trees that would reach into players' land claims. They found every and any possible way to grief. We did resolve these issues and implement rules against it, so it's fine now, but it just goes to show that griefing culture has gotten to the point where it's just infuriatingly boring and annoying. All players who like griefing do is play solely to grief. It is no longer the cheeky trolling it once was. Here's where things get interesting though. While some of the game's biggest survival servers today are in fact ones where griefing is allowed, when I polled you guys, over 50,000 of you responded, and overwhelmingly 76% of you guys stated that you preferred non-griefing servers, with only 24% preferring griefing. This is strange though, as the griefing SMP on my server is more popular than the non-griefing one. So why is there such a disparity? Well, it's likely because most players who dislike griefing tend to play smaller or private survival servers, whereas players who do like griefing play bigger ones, where obviously there is more to grief. Furthermore, it could just be that those who like griefing are far more competitive and invested players, whereas those who don't like griefing are more casual, who don't play the game as much. I did this poll on my Twitter as well, and the results were almost identical. So we know what the general player base tends to think about griefing now, but what about Notch or Mojang? Well, the only time Notch has ever commented on griefing was in response to infamous griefing group Fifth Column's Twitter post, where they discussed their recent ban from Minecraft for, well, griefing. That's a long story. All you need to know is that Notch's response was simply, then don't grief. He elaborated that there's a time and place for such things, but we never really got a clear stance as to whether he created Minecraft with griefing in mind, and as far as I'm aware, Notch has not commented on griefing anywhere else. I even tried to ask him on Twitter myself, and he responded to someone else's unrelated reply, making fun of my tweet. Funny stuff, Notch. Okay, but what about a Mojang employee who is still currently working on the game? Well, luckily, Minecraft developer King B-Dogs did in fact comment on it in a response to players discussing the new trial chamber spawners potentially being destroyed or griefed. He mentioned that in designing and adding features to Minecraft, they never prevent players from being jerks, as it's a sandbox after all, but do want to discourage malicious behavior. In relation to the trial chamber specifically, King B-Dogs mentioned finding a middle ground where it can be destroyed, but will take some time as to not allow griefing as easily. He then further adds that if players are jerks, the server can create rules, reaffirming the fact that they don't want to prevent players from being jerks. So there you go right there. This is effectively Mojang's stance on griefing. They don't want to prevent it because Minecraft is a sandbox, but don't explicitly encourage it either. Occasionally in game design, they might make griefing more time consuming, but ultimately they leave it up to the server owners to manage and moderate. Griefing is a part of Minecraft, that's clear, but players have taken it to an extreme, and it's become unbalanced. There likely won't ever be a time again like 2010 and 2011 where griefing could somewhat coexist in a normal Minecraft survival environment. Make sure to check out my non-griefing survival server here, where you can build bases peacefully with others, take on powerful mobs in dungeons, and get powerful gear with our special rune system. Bedrock players can join as well. Be sure to subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching.